How's it going, everybody? My name is Matt Hubel, and 99 Lives invited me to share my painting process for the latest album cover. And I really love working with these guys because every time they come knocking, it's just, hey, let's paint awesome robots. And nothing makes me happier, I'm going to be honest. So I'm going to give you guys a quick breakdown of what I'm doing here. But if you want kind of that full explanation and a much longer video, head on over to Matt Hubel Art and check out my channel. I've got a few others on there too, so just go down and check them out. Let me know what you think. So basically what I'm going to do here is just really roughly block in my idea, and I'm going to do like a black and white sketch first, and that's usually what I send off for people to approve or change or do any sort of revisions on. Right there, I also have a 3D model that I was using for this. I just posed out a character really quickly and dropped it in, and that helped me to sketch it out, get kind of a base in there really quickly. Because the biggest thing when you're designing stuff is getting a good chance to iterate on things. So that black and white design is what I sent off, and then we changed a couple little things, and then it was off to the line art. Now, line art for me is one of the harder parts. I'm not, wouldn't consider myself like a line artist. I'm not like an inker or somebody who does a lot of like pencil sketching. I've always been more of a painter, and usually when you paint, you think in like big shapes rather than lines necessarily. So I don't know if maybe my brain just isn't wired for clean lines, but I've tried it in the past, and I end up kind of pushing back towards more of a painting thing. But on the flip side, I think it's really important to have line art in your painting so that you can have a really good roadmap when it comes to actually doing the painting. So I'm going in through the background here, and I know I want really tall buildings, and I really want them to feel like sci-fi buildings, but I feel like these windows maybe are just too busy, and they feel too much like traditional skyscrapers, so I'm just going to scrap it and start over. And that's the great thing about when you're painting digitally, as opposed to traditionally, is like everything is so much more malleable. That background I can just put on a separate layer and just block it all in, and if I don't like it, I just turn it off and delete it, and then it's on to the next. So I grew up with more of a traditional painting background. I didn't really start digital art until, I would say after college, and so I haven't been doing it like too long. 10 years I guess or so. But traditional painting, I think, is super important anyway. And so if you're interested in art, or you are an artist, like doing some oil paintings or some acrylic paintings, or even watercolor if you really want to torture yourself, because they're very hard to do. But I think the payoff is there, and it's really cool. When you're a traditional artist, you can paint just like that when you get into like a digital space. So, I'm going around right now in here in these little shops, and I've just like globbed in paint, and I'm almost like when you look at the clouds and you see shapes, that's kind of what I'm doing here with the different shapes that are in here. And then I kind of latch onto something and then just sort of revise it from there. So like I just use a round brush, and that's good for kind of blocking in those human shapes and silhouettes. So I would find those and then just latch onto a shape and then flesh it out into an actual character. So it's always one way to paint those things, and with that, you don't need the line art and stuff because they're just small background elements, so they're really low detail. They don't have a lot of information in them. And they're fun. It's really fun because you can create little stories. So this one right here, I was kind of thinking about Decker from Blade Runner, and I wanted to make a little homage to him. He's at like a little noodle shop, sitting in the corner eating noodles. And these things are like, usually I don't always put this sort of stuff, this like level of detail in my paintings, because it takes literally forever. But these paintings are always so fun that I think it's worth it just to do. And I love cyberpunk stuff, so I had a blast doing it. going to put in some shiny floor here, and then we're going to move on to the main character. Now the main character I've kept on her own separate layer too, so that way, you know, I can turn her off and on and then paint the background, which is also like kind of a step up from that, you know, traditional stuff where you have to, there's so much more planning and everything has to be so much more meticulous. But I still do a lot of traditional painting too. I think they really work together well. I know a lot of people only like one or the other, and that's cool, but I think, you know, doing all of it together is a lot of fun. And I think it makes you more well-rounded, I guess, as an artist too. So at this point, I'm kind of circling around the background, trying to see if there's anything else I should add to clean it up. It can be a little tricky because, you know, as you zoom in, you want to add all the details, so you have to keep zooming out and then just being careful that you don't overdo the detail for the background, because although that stuff is fun to paint and it's cool, it's not really the point, right? The point is this robot chick up here in the front. So I always like short bomber jackets. I think they feel really sci-fi, and I always feel like girls who wear them look like super tough. So I wanted to incorporate that, just kind of get her sleeves pushed up. Usually too, like if you watch when I'm painting this, her face or her helmet or whatever it's nice and clean, and then towards the end when I get it all the forms and stuff solidified, I like to then beat it up and grunge it up. So I did that with the background too, like kind of just worried about painting it clean, getting it simply laid in, and then grunge it up and make something nasty. So there we go, right there. I also have always liked the idea of robots wearing human clothing. I think that right there says a lot about the story, right? Like, she's not just a robot, like she's got a personality. She's got, you know, she's like obviously thinks for herself and is very human. So that's always a cool thing. You know, I don't know if you guys are readers, but you know, any of the Isaac Asimov books about robots are super awesome, and that kind of explore the deeper stuff, the deeper philosophies about, you know, like artificial intelligence and all these cool things. So yeah, I don't know if you guys are super geeks like me, but man, I love that stuff. So when I get a chance to paint stuff like that, that's the kind of stuff I'm thinking about while I'm drawing too. Like, you know, would a robot wear bracelets? I don't know, like one who has like some self-identity and stuff definitely would. So I've got the heads on the bike there, sitting in the little, it's gonna be like a fishnet sort of bag, I guess, that they're all sitting in. And that was a fun idea. And I wanted her bike to feel like really utilitarian. So does her pistol. Jeez, can't think of the words. But like, I don't want them to feel overly fancy. I want them to feel like they're used, right? And she's just like a badass who really, I guess, like uses her tools, but doesn't necessarily like want something that's flashy. She'd rather have like the bigger engine and have like, you know, the better paint job. So, you know, it's like when you start painting these things, you're like, well, even the choice of like the type of bike that she drives shows like some sort of personality, you know, and some sort of little bit of story into what this character actually is and what she does. So I think that's one way you can sustain yourself mentally when you're working on something for like 30 hours. So, because otherwise it wouldn't be fun, right? You gotta have some cool story stuff in there. And so anyway, that's it, guys. I added a couple more effects there, but you know, feel free to check out my YouTube channel for the long video, and thanks so much for sticking around.